Hey guys, before we get into this video, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more Lorcana content, and also, the Bucky is dead! Long live the king! Or prince, as it might be this time. Hey everybody, welcome back to Hazmat Lorcana. I've been cooking in the kitchen with decks, or cards if you like, because we've come up with a brand new Emerald Steel discard. So as you can see in the 1-drops, we've got the Captain Hooks. Now really these are here purely to deal with early threats. Captain Hook in combination with Baboom, we see here, is a great way of dealing with the pesky Daisy Ducks. We also have Smee as a 2-drop as well, and those two in combination of course is great for aggressive play, but also great for taking out early threats as well. We also of course in the 2-drop slot have the Ursulas. These are a no-brainer in any Emerald deck. They're just too good not to put in. And why is that? Because they strip a song from your opponent's hand, and let me tell you, the amount of decks where the songs are so vital to their game plan, it's astronomical. You can look at things such as Friends on the Other Side, Whole New World in Steel Song. You can look at One Jump Ahead. These kind of cards are essential to different decks' games plans. And Ursula is just fantastic at making sure that that just doesn't happen. Then we have Anna. Now this is a spicy card. It's a spicy card. She's just so versatile. I wasn't sure at first because she's basically a 5-drop. So let's not get it twisted. She isn't a 3-drop. She is a 5-drop. Because you are not playing her without using her ability, really, which you're going to have to pay 2 for. And then you can either make your opponent discard a card, you can have chosen character get +2 attack, or you could banish a chosen damage character. And trust me when I say that having the option to do any of these is so incredible. I absolutely love this card. Next up, we've got our Prince John. This is our card draw engine. You know him, you've seen him plenty of times. This is a phenomenal card once he gets going. In this kind of deck that's based around that discard mechanic, he is absolutely phenomenal. And the ward just makes him pretty much untouchable. Yes, okay, he struggles against like grab your swords, but in general, fantastic card, really hard to get rid of. We obviously have the Ursula, Deceiver of All, to sing the many 3-cost songs we have. Let's just take a little peek down here. She's going to be double singing Sudden Chills, Let the Storm Rage On, Strength of a Raging Fire. Yeah, the possibilities are endless with that. We know how strong double singing Let the Storm Rage On is, being able to deal 4 damage in total, and drawing those 2 cards is just obscene. Double singing Sudden Chill when you've got John on the board is crazy. Honestly, just an insane card. We have 3 copies of Beast, not the full 4. It just didn't feel like we needed the full 4. You already get a lot of card draw through John, and Beast, the stat line isn't fantastic on the 5-drop. Yeah, but he's a nice to have. If he gets out on the field and can stay on the field, fantastic. Otherwise, yeah, didn't need the full 3. He still quests for 2, and if he does get damage, becomes a big boy. 7/4, I think, if it's just 1 damage. Next up, we have Chen Po. Now, this guy is a unit. You'll have seen him in Amethyst Steel decks last set. 4/7 stat line with Bodyguard on a 5-cost is obscene. Anything that goes into this is probably going to trade with it, at least like your early game stuff. Yes, okay, a lot of the like late game things might not, but early, if you're chucking like a Mim Fox and a Snake to kill this, it's 2 for 1. It's fantastic. He does such a good job of enabling the rest of the board to quest. Lastly, we've got the Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. I love this card to bits, and I always have. Dealing 1 damage to everything is just really good on-play effect. Not only that, but when she banishes, she gets to deal 2 damage. Crazy. 2 damage to another character, that is. We also have to take into account that her ability to deal 1 damage to everything allows us to play Arnas and then banish things that have already been damaged. Really, really, really strong for that. We come down to the actions and songs. We've got 3 Babooms. I think that 3 is all that's needed. It's to stop really early game threats. Robin Hoods, Queens, Cinderellas. I'm thinking purely about Steel Song there, but that's just because it's the main deck at the moment. Yeah, fantastic at dealing with the early game threats, but also late game can be used in combination with other things to deal big damage. We briefly touched on a song, so I won't go too in depth on them, but we don't talk about Bruno in this deck where we're discarding a lot. It is an absolute must. It's just basically hard removal towards the end of the game if you've managed to get your opponent's hand down. Grab your swords. This is one that I'm still not too sure about, but against decks that go wide, which seems to be a lot of decks at the moment, fantastic card. Chromicon, again, another one that's we're a bit like unsure about, but it's really good to be able to bounce things like Tinkerbell or Anna back, or even Ursula sometimes if you can get that opportunity to remove multiple songs. Absolutely fantastic for that. Prince John's Mirror is it's so good. It's so good in ways that you may not think it's good to begin with. So consider this. Yes, okay, by turn 3 or maybe even turn 4, because you ideally want the John out first. But by turn 3 or 4, yeah, your opponent's probably already managed to play down to 3 cards, so you're probably not going to get the draw off it. But that's not what this is for. This stops them from going back above. Okay, yes, they can go back above on their turn, but they can never end their turn higher than 3 cards, which is amazing. It's amazing because it just limits their options within their hand, and allows you to have less cards to discard in order to empty their hand, which is brilliant. Lastly, the location we've got in is Hidden Cove. Kind of for obvious reasons, I suppose. It just helps bring things out of brawl range, if I'm honest. It can help Prince John go out of Grab Your Swords range. It can help Beast get out of Medusa range. Just a really good location, really solid. The idea with this deck, we are looking for Prince John and Prince John's Mirror in the mulligan. We want to get them down to 3 cards as soon as possible. And then once we have them down to 3 cards, use things such as Ursula, Anna, Sudden Chill, Bruno, to eliminate those remaining cards. And then once we've got them in that position, the options that they're going to be able to play in order to deal with the rest of the board is going to be very limited. And you'll notice that, a lot of these cards are 2 questers. So it really racks up. And if you can just put a Chempo bodyguard down at the end, you just end up questing for everything and get a whole bunch of lore. So that's the idea with the deck. And now that you've seen the deck, how about we switch to some gameplay? So guys, here is my home table. And we have both the lovely Alexandria, my wife, and myself, of course, playing with the grey sleeves. We're currently in the mulligan here. I'm getting rid of 3 cards. I believe Andrea's getting rid of just 2. So relatively strong hands by the looks of it. After the decks are all shuffled up, I believe I won the roll, so I'm on the play here. So we're going to ink a Smee and play a hook. Again, this is fantastic to deal with that early game pressure. So anything that Andrea puts down it can't really quest safely. We'll see myself ink a Beast and follow it up with a Smee. This is an amazing, aggressive opener from myself. Of course, if you don't know, Mr. Smee, when he is exerted, he would take 1 damage at the end of the turn, unless you have a captain. Now, obviously, Captain Hook is a captain. So, he stops Smee taking 1 damage at the end of each turn. Andrea plays out a Flynn Rider, which will gain 3 lore at the start of her turn if she has the character with the highest attack. Now again, this is another reason why Smee is fantastic. 3/3 stat line on a 2-drop. Nothing at 2 really beats it, and so she won't be gaining the 3 lore from it, from Flynn. And on 3 I get the Prince John. This is an insane start for me. I've hit curve perfectly, 1, 2, 3. We've got the John out, so now we can really start thinking about discarding. Andrea draws for turn, inks the Teeth and Ambitions, and has to hardcast to Friends, which is never ideal. You hate to see it. Ruby Amethyst at this point in the game really doesn't want to hardcast Friends on turn 3. I'm going to ink a Strength here, which I would think is one of the last options that I would choose to ink, so I probably have some uninkables in my hand. Removal is always great to have in your hands, but sometimes it needs to be inked. But we're going to play the Prince John's Mirror. Prince John's Mirror is going to force Andrea to discard down to 3 cards at the end of her turn. So she has to play out as much of her hand as she can. As much as she can. Because I've got that Prince John on the field that's going to draw a card every time she discards, she has to play out what she can. Quests on the Flynn and follows it up with the Snake to bounce the Flynn back. You know, that 3/3 on the board, it's a big body. It can trade with my Smee, but it can also take out anything else if I would choose to exert it. Also replays the Flynn Rider. If there is a way to get rid of my Smee, that means that Flynn Rider will start getting his ability activated, where he'll be able to be getting that 3 lore a turn. So really, Andrea probably wants to be getting rid of my Smee at this point, if she can. But the problem is Ruby Amethyst is going to really struggle to get rid of that outside of trading with it. Brawl doesn't touch it, because Brawl has to be 2 or less attack to destroy. And so, yeah, we see her discard the cards at the end of her turn for Prince John's Mirror, which means that I get to draw. It's fantastic value. Really is. I play out an Ursula, so we get to see what's in the hand. We catch a Be Prepared, and then get to draw off the John. See, guys, look how incredible that is. The value of being able to play that Ursula, strip the Be Prepared from her hand, and then also get to draw from it. It's criminal. And then Smee's also going to sing a Sudden Chill on top of that to discard another card. And I think here Andrea's saying that Prince John's Mirror has caused no ends of problems to her. It's miserable at this point, because I've been able to cast another Sudden Chill, and now Andrea's hand is entirely empty. I can ink the last Sudden Chill that I had in my hand. I had 3, because it's just simply not needed anymore. And right now we have fantastic board presence, a full hand. It's not looking good for our opponent. And this is just an example of how well this deck can do in controlling both your opponent's hand and what's on their board. That being said, it's early days for this deck. There are certainly tweaks that I can make. So I'm going to choose to Baboom the Flynn Rider here. And really, this is because I've got so many options in my hand. I might as well remove things. and sort of allow me to quest more freely. And I play the Emerald Chromicon here, and what this does is it allows me to quest even more freely, because anything that Andrea banishes on my side of the board on her turn it would mean that then I get to bounce something back, whether that's one of her cards or one of my own. It allows me to protect my board. So Andrea's going to send the Mim into the Captain Hook, but I was actually being quite sneaky here because I knew that she would do that. And I do indeed have the remove. I think I've got a Baboom in my hand if I remember rightly. Maui then crashes into my Smee. I wasn't expecting that, and Andrea has actually done a fantastic job here of clearing up my board completely. I could have chosen to bounce something back with the Emerald Chromicon there, but there's simply not a good target to bounce back there, is there? Yes, this is it. Fantastic. So I get to be able to play a Grab Your Swords. Both of the Andrea's characters had 2 health left, so it's a clean sweep there, allowing my Prince John to quest for 2. This character questing for 2 is kind of insane. You don't get to do it that often, but when you do, it's just fantastic that he's able to do it. I mean, he didn't need to quest for 2. He's good enough without that. Andrea plays a rabbit, so she actually does get a little bit of card draw here. It's not something we want, really. We play the Ursula in an attempt to see if we could discard what's in her hand, but it misses. Unfortunately, it was a Sisu. So we play out the Ursula. We've probably got some removal in the hand, so likely when she plays that Sisu, we should be able to tackle it. So Sisu gets played and an Olaf. Andrea leaves nothing to discard in her hand. She's probably wise. And you'll hate me to hear this, but I was a Bucky player in the last set, and I apologise for my sins on behalf of the Bucky players. We are sorry. So to briefly touch on it again, the Prince John's Mirror being inkable is just probably one of the best things about it. We're going to get a sudden chill here to get rid of the last card in Andrea's hand, which hits the Medusa, which is a fantastic thing to see go into the discard. And obviously we get to draw off it thanks to Prince John. And what's even better is we then get to play We Don't Talk About Bruno, which, if you don't know what that card does, it simply sends a target card back to its opponent, back to your opponent's hand, and then they have to discard a card. So when they have no cards in their hand, it's basically just hard removal. And then we're going to get to quest pretty freely with the other 2, bringing us up to 14 lore. So it's getting pretty dicey here for Andrea. She needs a miracle draw off the top. Unfortunately gets a Flynn, which isn't going to quite cut it. I'm very interested to see where Emerald Steel goes. I'm an avid Emerald Steel player and have been since I started playing Lorcana. It's hands down my favourite colour combination. And I'll be working this set to try and make the best deck out of it I can. We'll probably still be going down the discard route. I just don't think that the purely ping route is strong enough yet. But the discard plus control is... the combination of the 2 just seems really, really good at the moment. And as you can see, Andrea wasn't able to find the answers, and unfortunately that leads to a scoop, or I should say very fortunately for me. So there you go, that's an example of the deck in action. Perhaps you'll pick it up and give it a go yourself. I'll do another video on this deck soon-ish. There's a couple of changes I want to do, and I want to give it a run out, but hopefully we'll be able to get more gameplay videos like this. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.